3, 2, 1.
Your Honors, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
This is a continuation of the public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council of candidates for the position of Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals, the Court of Tax Appeals, and the Sandigan Bayan. But before proceeding, let's have first the centennial prayer for the courts.
Almighty God, we stand in your holy presence as our supreme judge. We humbly beseech you to bless and inspire us so that what we think, say, and do will be in accordance with your will. Enlighten our minds, strengthen our spirit, and fill our hearts with fraternal love, wisdom, and understanding, so that we can be effective channels of truth, justice, and peace. In our proceedings today, guide us in the path of righteousness for the fulfillment of your greater glory. Amen.
Again, Your Honors, good morning. The panel of interviewers for today are the following. The Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza, Chairperson of the JBC Executive Committee and regular member representing the retired members of the Supreme Court. The Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr., regular member representing the private sector. The Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham, regular member representing the Academy. And the Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde, regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Your Honors, the candidates for interview this morning are the following. Judge Ami Ana L. de Villa Rosero and Judge Jacinto G. Fajardo Jr. Both are vying for the position of Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals and the Sandigan Bayan.
And both are from Bicol.
Opo, Justice. May I request the candidates to please raise your right hand so that I can administer the oath. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
So help you God. Your Honors, the first for interview this morning will be Judge de Villa Rosero. And the first to interview the candidate will be the Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde. Judge
Okay.
de Monteverde, sir.
Thank you, Attorney Ed.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
good morning, Judge Rosero.
Good morning po.
Okay. You are applying for posts either at the Court of Appeals or Sandigan Bayan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first time that you applied for the appellate courts?
Actually, Your Honor, if my memory serves me right, this is the third time. But for the Sandigan Bayan, this is the first time. Court of Appeals, third time.
Okay. You are now the presiding judge of the RTC Branch 11 in Ligao City.
Yes, Your Honor.
And for how long have you been the presiding judge there?
Actually, Your Honor, that's my original station. I was appointed there way back in 2005.
Okay.
But sometime in 2015, if my memory serves me right, I was designated as full-time acting presiding judge, Branch 15 RTC Manila. And I have been handling several courts in Manila since then, up to December of 2019.
Okay. So that's what I have been reading. You have traveled a lot, career-wise.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you have been in Ligao for only not the entire duration of your appointment, no?
Yes, Your Honor. That's 2005 to 2015. And then I came back January 20 of 2020. This
Okay.
year, this year.
This year only?
Yes, Your Honor. I came back January 20 this year.
Okay. So back to where you will forever roost unless you will be shortlisted and eventually appointed. No?
Hopefully so, Your Honor.
Now, I was reading your letter of intent, and I have read that you requested for a detail in Manila
Yes, Your Honor.
because of some death threats.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you expound on this?
Uh, at that time, Your Honor, I was the executive judge of RTC Ligaw City. And there were so many search warrants applied for by the CIDG and the PIDEA against drug lords, drug pusher, drug personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, these groups, they don't know me yet because I'm not from that place.
Mm.
But later on, because of the media, and the media is shown my search warrant by these police authorities, they already knew about me. And the CIDG was the one who informed me. If my memory serves me right, it was December of 2014
Okay.
that there's a death threat against me. And according to the CIDG officer, I should be taking care of myself and not expose myself because the number one drug lord in the third district of Albay was apprehended and the case was raffled to me.
Okay.
And then when the asset of the CIDG went to the jail to ask further questions to determine who are the companions of this number one in their list, the accused sold the asset of the CIDG, which he doesn't know yet that asset na is already an asset of the CIDG. He is also a part of that group of the drug syndicate.
Okay.
The accused
So
told,
how many death threats did you receive that time?
if my memory serves me right, I received the first one was due to those who escaped from jail because I denied all their motions and they were able to escape from jail. And according to the jail officer, we have threats against them because they're angry at me for denying all their motions. The
Okay.
second one, because as executive judge, there were so many.
Kindly make it brief, Judge. Make it
Okay.
brief.
The second one is from some of the staff who were charged because of some money fixing, case fixing, which there are complainants.
So when you received those death threats, what or how did you feel?
Well, I really feel bad also about that. But for the first death threat regarding those escapee, I was not so worried about that. Then for the staff who were charged because of complainants for irregularities, I was not so worried about that. But Your Honor, when the CIDG came to me, it was a December and telling me that the accused was trying to instruct to withdraw money and hire a gun for hire killer to kill me. So that's the time that I was really affected, and I had that blattered. I told the chief of police, and I had submitted a report to the office of the court administrator.
So it did affect the performance of your job.
No, no, Your Honor, I still work, but the problem is I cannot just go out. I
Uh-huh.
just have to send somebody to buy some of my medicines, and then I don't go out anymore to market,
Okay.
to supermarket, no more.
Oh. Are you have you any idea on this bill creating the Philippine Judiciary Marshal Service, Judge?
I had a chance of hearing that when the Chief Justice, the Honorable Chief Justice Parata had
Uh,
lectured. It is
uh-huh.
now in Congress.
Okay.
So we are hoping that that will be passed.
Mainly,
by Congress, Your
the
Honor.
purpose is to protect members of the judiciary from violent crimes. Now, because
Yes,
of
Your Honor.
your experience, can you think of some ideas that will help prevent the killings of the members of the judiciary?
Well, what what I had in mind is because we cannot really avoid people getting angry because either party will lose, then they will really get angry or they will feel bad about it. But
Mhm.
we were already trained before shooting shooting firearms
Okay.
in a, but I think what we will do, the thing that I've been doing for
Okay.
myself is when I received the threat, we had consulted a friend who's a retired PSG, and
Mhm.
he taught us on how to take care of ourselves. Like usually, the
Your ideas, Judge. What ideas do you
we
have
should
in mind?
have a proper we should have a proper training, Your Honor, on how to protect ourselves,
Okay.
especially when you're at your residence area and at the office area because that's the target area. Then, secondly, if we could have marshals to take care of us, then it's also good for the judges. Then avoid so much
As to your
exposure.
first Judge, as to your first idea, we already have some seminars or actual lectures on that, isn't it?
Actually, yes, but it's the actual, like saying you're already exposed. But what I'm telling is additional information, like if you are at home, if you are in the office, because that's the target areas usually. And we should avoid exposure already. We should not be
Yes,
going
yes.
out if unnecessary.
Yes, Judge. That was taught to us, no? How to sit in a restaurant with your backs against the wall facing the entry,
Yes,
the
Your
entrance
Honor.
of the restaurant, and while coming out of your house, going to your car outside,
Yes, Your
look
Honor.
first, left and right, front, if there are some suspicious people around.
Suspicious figure.
Yeah,
Yes, Your Honor.
that's
But Your
what you
Honor,
learn.
yes, but well, Your Honor, what as much as possible, if it's not necessary for us to be going out, then
Yeah.
we should not.
Sige. Now, you have been assigned to several courts as acting or assisting. And
Yes, Your Honor.
there were times twice yata na you were the executive judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, as the executive judge, what contributions did you make or give to the judiciary? Were there reforms that you initiated in your
Yes, Your
area?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor. In my area of responsibility, I had initiated reforms. Not only reforms, but I also had initiated the construction of a new court in Piudoran because that's covered by my jurisdiction. Fortunately, because of that, when there was an appointed judge, he has no problem anymore. Then, with
Mhm.
respect to the reforms, because there were so many complaints that I received, when people knew that I was designated as the new executive judge, and at the same time that I came from the office of the ombudsman, there were so many complainants who came to me, especially those from Pio Duran. And that's where I started the investigation to the help of the POW, and also I initiated reforms like no drinking during office hours and even after office hours because the hall of justice is a for me it's a sacred place to be respected. And then I also checked on the performance of the janitorial. I had the hall of justice made it clean, and then the janitorial I let them work as required of them because in the past they don't. And then I also had assigned like before we don't have a security guard anymore, so the
Okay.
OCA advised me to secure the services of the police officers. I did that. And also other improvements for the court, like the physical materials needed to reform, to repair because the court is already very old. So
Okay,
I've
Judge.
assigned those things.
Sige. Can you still remember how many cases were filed against you?
Only two, Your
Administrative
Honor.
cases, two.
For the
And one was a complaint against you by a certain judge in
yes, Your Honor.
2014. What
Yes,
was it?
it's all
Briefly,
about
briefly.
briefly. There was drinking session during office hours, and the police officers duly assigned PO1 lady officers. They felt harassed
Uh-huh.
so by that judge. So I was having a meeting then for the Wheels on Justice. So when the police officers came to me, the police officers reported the matter to the chief of police, and the chief of police, who is also a woman, reported it to the regional director of PNP, and the regional director directed the legal office to file a case against Judge Barceliano. Now, but Judge Barceliano thought all the while I was the one who filed the case against him. He didn't
Okay.
know that I was just copy furnished, and it's my obligation as executive judge to forward the copy to the office of the court administrator. And because of that, so he I think he got mad at me, and he filed a case against me with so many allegations. But I was
Eventually, it was
able
dismissed.
to
Oh,
dismiss because I was able to rebut everything. I have my witnesses
okay.
who testify.
What was the other case?
Oh, it's a family. My first cousin from New Zealand, who is already a New Zealander. We
Okay. Also,
also are
also surnamed De Villa.
yes, but I think Munar now, Munar, because she's already married.
Okay.
We sold the property, which my father is a co-owner, but the
So
father of the
it
car is not
involved
an owner. Yes, it's a
land.
personal family
Okay.
matter.
Oh,
But the court dismissed it because the complainant is not even a co-owner of that property. They don't have even the father, the brother of my dad. He has no share there because he has a share in another property, not that
okay.
property.
Judge,
That was also dismissed, Your
are you
Honor.
a disciplinarian?
Yes, Your Honor.
Uh,
I
now,
am a disciplinarian.
what is your
I'm quite
observation?
strict.
Now, give me your observation.
Well,
Is the current system is the current system for disciplining lawyers and judges in the country effective? Why or why not?
well,
Again, make it brief.
yeah, I
Uh,
believe, Your Honor, it's effective.
uh-huh.
Uh,
In what way?
like the sanctions imposed upon them, and the moment that they know the character of the judge, they are also very respectful, and they really follow. They're afraid to commit any shortcomings. They look at the judge. So when you establish your character from the very beginning, the respect is always there, and they will always toe the line in accordance with the rules and regulations.
Okay. And what are the major influences in your life?
Well, first, I grew up with Augustinian sisters.
Okay.
So I was trained by them. And then my family, they're also very strict. They also observe the proper decorum, the proper attitude and work. And according to my father, he keeps on telling us while we were growing up, honesty is still the best policy. So
Okay.
we hold on to that, all of us, as
Uh,
siblings.
Judge, earlier you mentioned that you were appointed first in 2005.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then what year? What month of
August, August,
2005? August.
August of 2005.
And you
And
had your
then I
orientation
took,
also the same year.
yes, Your Honor, but I took my oath September 16. And
Okay.
then I started my orientation. Nawala eh. I started my orientation at Ligaw
Tagaytay.
City. No, the orientation Tagaytay. That was scheduled
No, orientation. Ang importante. Orientation. When? And where?
immersion. I had my immersion in.
No, I'm not talking about immersion. I'm talking about the orientation.
That was December. December po. December
Okay.
1 to 15.
Of
Tagaytay.
2005. Of 2005.
Yes,
I
Your
thought
Honor.
you took it in 2006 of February, because if you took it in February of 2006, then we were together.
No, Your Honor. I think December 15, 2005.
I was also appointed in 2005, but I was able to get the orientation already in 2006.
Okay. They were the ones who scheduled me.
Okay, Judge, tell me about your personality. Are you very sensitive? Are you sensitive especially to criticisms hurled against you, whether destructive or otherwise?
Well, actually, Your Honor, I'm not that too sensitive because I take criticism, constructive criticism, openly. And I try also to be reasonable, to weigh things out. But of course, when it comes to corruption, I am very strict and I cannot compromise with that. So, with respect,
Ito. You spoke of corruption.
yes, Your Honor.
Now, here comes somebody who wants to destroy you and tells people that you are a corrupt judge. This will affect you, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor, of course.
And what will be your reaction to it?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that if people know me very well, they know me, they won't believe what this person is trying to say and destroy me.
Okay.
Secondly, uh, I will not just react uh, openly or not that. If
But you will
somebody
get hurt. That you will get hurt.
definitely I will get hurt
And
because I know.
by getting hurt, it affects you personally and somehow in things that you are trying to decide what to be. You become subjective about it, di ba?
No, Your Honor, because my number one character is I keep on praying in the morning and in the evening, and I ask for guidance. And I'm not that kind of person who would easily burst out. In fact, long time ago, when the pending case against Judge Barciliano and against the pending case of Judge against me was still before the Court of Appeals, I keep also on praying for him. That's my number one weapon, prayer.
You still cannot forget what Judge Barciliano had done to you.
I had already forgotten, Your Honor, especially because
Okay.
I keep on telling them, the Lord is very good to me. I won the case, the justice, I was given justice. So why will I get angry? Isn't it,
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yeah. Now, give me one good reason why I should include you in my shortlist.
Well, first and foremost, Your Honor, I think I could contribute something.
In what way? What would be that contribution?
In the system, because when I was at the ombudsman, I'm part of the team that introduce system to the different government agencies on how to improve their work, how to be efficient. So that's the number one thing in my mind, especially in the time frame of releasing, of preparing or resolving cases. I'm very particular with that. That's why in some instances I had disposed many cases because of the system that I've been introducing in the court where I am assigned to.
Okay. So that was my last question, Judge. No, thank you for time.
Thank you
Good
also.
luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sige.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, just Judge de Monteverde. May we
Thank
now
you,
give
Attorney.
the floor to Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tijan. Your Honor, please.
Thank you, Attorney Ann. Good
You're welcome.
morning, Judge.
Good morning po, Justice.
Are you from Bicol, Judge?
My father is from Camarines Sur, Iriga City particularly. My husband is from Ginubatan, Albay. But I was born, Your Honor, in Zamboanga because my mother is from from Zamboanga del Sur.
You have been a judge for 15 years.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Justice.
How do you compare litigants, lawyers in Bicol and litigants and lawyers in Manila? Are they the same?
No, Your Honor, there's a big difference.
So what's
Of
the
course,
difference?
they're all knowledgeable. They're all good in their respective profession. But, Your Honor, in Bicol, since the cases are not that really controversial and complicated, not so much, although there are some, but it's quite easier for them and then medyo lax po. Unlike in Manila, oh, the lawyers are really well prepared and they're really they want the proceedings to proceed and they're very very knowledgeable. There's so many motions uh, presented before the court. So
Why
I
why were
feel
you awarded? You were awarded as top five best performing RTC judge of Manila in 2019.
yes, Your Honor,
Your opinion, what was the reason why you were awarded?
because of the total disposition, the number of cases disposed of for the year. They counted that. And then I think I am number five among the number of cases disposed of for that year, Your Honor.
Your place of residence is where is your place of residence?
In Imus, Cavite, Your Honor.
And you have no reservations if you are nominated and appointed to the Court of Appeals and you're assigned in either Mindanao or in Cagayan de Oro or Cebu. You have no reservations about that?
No, no, Your Honor, because in Mindanao, it's nearer the place of my mom. My mother is residing now in Zamboanga, and then Cagayan, we just travel by land. Now in Cebu also, I have no reservation because I know the dialect very well, and my aunt, my widow aunt, is also staying there alone, so I don't have any problem, Justice, if ever I will be assigned or to those places.
What
My
is your
children are already grown ups. They would
what is
understand
your
me.
understanding, Judge, of the Judicial Integrity Board?
Well, we read the issuance by the Office of the Court Administrator. They're composed of justices who would investigate any complaints on irregularities against judges and justices up to the level of the Court of Appeals and court employees covered by those.
Uh, with respect to administrative cases filed against judges and court employees, in your opinion, should if the respondent is guilty of the administrative offense, in your opinion, should length of service be considered as a mitigating circumstance or an aggravating circumstance?
Well, I humbly submit, Your Honor, that the length of service could be considered as a mitigating circumstance
Why?
because for
Isn't
so many
it that
years.
isn't it that if you're a court employee, you're a magistrate for so many years, you are expected to know more and to be more vigilant. So why should you reward uh, liability by mitigating the offense solely based on the length of service?
Your Honor, because my position is this: the length of service there is a performance rating, and we could see from there how he performs, how he conducts his work in office. Now, if he just committed one offense, then he could be given the chance of having a mitigating circumstance, just to lower the penalty. Because, Your Honor, the moment they are penalized, they already learned their lesson. And then I believe that they still could reform and go on with their work.
All right. When do you consider, Judge, a case to be deemed moot and academic? What is your understanding of that?
Well, uh, the best example that I could give is that if there's a motion, like the motion to deposit money for an expropriation proceedings. Now, when they filed the motion, they already accompanied the check for payment, and it was already accepted by the uh, office of the clerk of court. So the motion to deposit is already deemed moot and academic because they already had deposited, and the OCC had already accepted the check and had deposited it with the land bank. So that's how I see it,
So,
as deemed moot and
general,
academic.
the general proposition is when a case has become moot and academic, the court should no longer act on it, correct? Should decline
Yes,
assuming jurisdiction.
yes, Your
Are
Honor.
there are there exceptions to the rule?
Moot and academic. Well, I submit, Your Honor, there are some exceptions, but I
Can
could not,
you think of at least one exception?
I could not remember, Your Honor.
Supposing it
Because
involves
usually, Your Honor, pag mutan academic, we usually don't act on it anymore.
yes, yes, but supposing it involves a grave violation of the Constitution,
Ah, oh, that's.
do you think the Supreme Court should act on something even if it has become moot and academic?
I submit, Your Honor, that it should not be acted upon anymore because it's a violation, grave violation of the Constitution.
What do you understand by there are many exceptions? One of the exceptions to that rule that a case which is moot and academic should no longer be acted upon, one of the many exceptions is when the case is capable of repetition yet evading review. What do you understand by that?
A repetition, Your Honor, of, pardon, Your Honor.
Capable of repetition, evading review. What do you understand by that? It's already self explanatory.
Yeah, it's, Your Honor, the way I understand it, if they keep on submitting, repeating the the issues or the cause that they are trying to raise, just to avoid
You have
for
heard about the case
avoidance,
of
then.
ABS. You have heard about the case of ABS CBN, correct?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
So the court dismissed the petition of the Solicitor General for what reason? For what reason, Judge?
I think the case that was filed by the Solicitor General is a quo warranto, Your
Was
Honor.
it correct to file a
Is that,
co warranto petition? Was it correct?
no, Your Honor, it's not correct.
Why not? Why not?
That's the reason why the petition was dismissed, because of the when the ABS-CBN case, the ABS-CBN case, if I remember it right, there was already a decision or issuance issued by the NTC, so there's no more to act upon on that petition by the highest tribunal in view of the issuance by the MTC.
What do you understand, Judge, by quo warranto?
Well, a quo warranto is trying to test the legal right of a person to hold a public office.
So
If
that's quo
he, if,
warranto.
yes, that's how I understand it, Your
Oh,
Honor.
wait. Can it be used for other purposes?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, especially with other public officials.
Okay.
And if I remember it right, you have penned the co warranto against the former Chief Justice Sereno.
Question is, can it be used for other reasons aside from questioning the qualifications or by what authority a public official holds the office? Can it be used for something else?
Yes, Your Honor, for elective officials.
Elective
Uh,
officials.
they could file for elective officials. It could also be filed against them the co warranto questioning,
So you
also
read
the
the
possession.
Constitution. Quo warranto is also available questioning the authority of ABS-CBN to continue operating without a franchise. With respect
Yes,
to
Your Honor,
franchise,
also.
that's also available. All right.
Yes, Your Honor, also available.
Now, in the case of ABS-CBN, the case was dismissed because it has already become moot and
And academic.
academic. Correct?
Yes,
Why
Your
was it
Honor.
academic?
Because the NTC, the one in charge of the telecom, they already had issued a cease and desist order, and ABS-CBN had already followed the order, although
Because
they had filed, I think, the motion, but
the franchise has already expired.
expired, yes.
So
And then
there's
there's already a cease and
become
desist
moot
order
and academic.
on an academic already.
Now, some of the parties in interest wanted the court to decide the case despite its being moot and academic under the exception that the case is capable of repetition yet evading review. What do you understand by that?
They, they,
With
they,
respect to ABS-CBN,
oh, they want that the highest tribunal will act on that, despite the fact that it's not an academic, because because they might be
what's
again.
the okay? I'll give you a leading. What's the issue of citizenship, dual citizenship of Mr. Lopez resolved by the court in that case? It was not resolved, correct?
It was not resolved, Your Honor.
Because they merely simply dismissed the case because it has become moot and academic because the franchise has expired. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Assuming that in the near future, the franchise, assuming that in the near future, a franchise is issued or granted by Congress to ABS-CBN, and the issue of dual citizenship of Mr. Lopez is again raised. On hindsight, would it have been better for the court to decide on the issue of dual citizenship of the owners of ABS-CBN, notwithstanding the expiration of the franchise, under the exception that the case is capable of repetition, yet evading review?
I submit, Your Honor, that since it's already moot and academic, then there's no need to tackle that one.
I do not
Now it's
believe
up now to Congress, Your Honor, if they will question that again, and then for sure the ABS-CBN, especially the owners, they already know what are the defects that be or the issues being raised against the owner. So
so. You're
I would
saying
just I would
you're
rather leave.
saying if a franchise is issued to ABS-CBN in the future, because it cannot be renewed, there is nothing to renew because the
Yes, Your Honor.
franchise has already
It's
expired.
already lapsed.
If
Yes.
a new franchise is issued to ABS-CBN, and another question is raised on the dual citizenship of Mr. Lopez, that cannot be raised before the Supreme Court. Is that what you're saying?
That can be raised,
Only Congress can resolve the issue of citizenship.
that can be raised, Your Honor, to the highest tribunal. But I do believe that the owners of ABS-CBN, they already know the issues raised against them. So I just surmise that they would not repeat, or they would again do some rectification to avoid that problem in case if they will be applying again for another franchise in the future.
What do you understand, Judge, by the doctrine of constitutional supremacy?
Uh, Constitutional supremacy, Your Honor, is I submit that the Constitution shall prevail over the other rules and regulations or laws, and that it should always, because it's the basic fundamental law of the land, then it should be the one followed.
How is it different from the doctrine of judicial supremacy? Are they the same?
They are not the same, Your Honor. I humbly submit that judicial supremacy is different from the constitutional supremacy. The judicial supremacy, it's more of the judicial function, and that it's the judiciary has the function of interpreting the laws in case of some if some if it's, in case if they are a little vague, a bit vague, and they need interpretation, it should be the courts or the judiciary who has that function, Your Honor.
All right. In a drug case, what is your understanding of a chain of custody rule, Judge?
The chain of custody rule is that the object evidence, the handlers, from the beginning it was seized up to the time it was submitted to the laboratory and to the court, that there's no point of time wherein the custody is there's a gap or in the custody, and that to show that there was no switching, no changing of the object evidence, that the same object evidence when seized is the same object evidence that reached the court. So the chain of custody is very important, Your Honor, because the moment there is a gap, then under the law, under jurisprudence, there's already it's already doubtful. So the case will not really prosper.
So there is a requirement of inventory, on the spot inventory of the drug seized, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can the police postpone the on the spot inventory and do it in the police station on the basis that the seizure of the drugs was made in a Muslim area, and the police understood that there was some kind of security risk in the area because there might be sympathizers of the respondents who were in possession of the from whom the drugs were seized. Is that a valid justification for the police not to
Uh,
conduct the on-the-spot inventory and do it elsewhere?
uh, I submit, Your Honor, that there's a rule there that when such circumstances during the operation is present, they could go to the nearest police station or the nearest office of the PIDEA to do the inventory of the drug or the drugs or the object evidence uh, seized from the offender, and then including the offender, they will be brought to the nearest police station or the nearest office of the uh, PIDEA. There's a
Is
rule regarding
is
your
the
honor.
allegation that it is a Muslim area a valid justification to postpone or suspend the on-the-spot inventory?
Well, it depends, Your Honor. If the Muslim area is not that dangerous, then it should not be a valid reason. But if the Muslim areas, the area is quite dangerous and the people there are already uh, trying to help the offender, then and it's risky and it will affect the security of the authorities, then it's a valid reason that they could go to the nearest police station or the nearest PIDEA office, Your Honor.
Justice Leonen will disagree with you. In a recent case, he said Islamophobia is not a valid excuse for disobeying the rules on inventory of evidence in drug cases. Anyway, you just read that decision penned by Justice
Yes,
Leonen.
Your Honor, but there's a rule that we also follow. It's stated there that the
So you are
nearest.
going to descend to the potential Justice Leonen. Okay,
Yes,
Judge,
Your Honor, I
thank you
agree with
very
that.
much. Thank you very much for your time and good luck.
Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, Your Honor, Justice Tehan. We now turn over the conduct of the interview to Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilao Jr. Your Honor, please.
Yes, thank you, Attorney Yan. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Your Honor, I can hear you.
Yes, good morning, Judge Divilla Rosero. Divilla, not related to Divillas from Batangas.
Related, Your Honor?
How? In what way are you related to the Divillas of San Juan?
Yes, San Juan, Batangas, Your Honor. That's where our family came from,
Mm,
our ancestors.
okay. But you grew up also, you were born in the Ipil, Zamboanga, Sibugay.
Yes, Your Honor, because my dad was assigned there as an engineer during those times. And
Those times, when was that?
I think it was in the 1950s because I was
1950s.
born 1957. And then my dad met my mom, who is from Pagadian City, Labangan, Zamboanga del Sur. So that's why I was born there. But my dad, our ancestors are from San Juan, Batangas.
Because I remember that in the 1990s, Ipil, Zamboanga, the town of Ipil, more particularly si- uh, the building where the city hall
Yes, Your Honor.
was burned down. Even the public market was burned down
Yes, Your
by
Honor.
the
It's
alleged.
always like that. Yes, Your Honor. Every year before, during those times, every year they burn down the public market, the public places.
That was the time that the MNLF was born or founded.
Yes, Your
Or
Honor.
but now, are there still MNLF and Ipil, Zamboanga, Sibugay?
So far, Your Honor, their base is not from that place, another place. However, they keep on going to that place and other places nearby. They keep on going. So the people there are very cautious, and we have an early closing of stores, curfew because of that.
Were you able to experience those times?
When I was a kid, Your Honor, when I was in high school, we have to flee to Manila, and only my dad and the male members of the family were left there. Me, my mom, and my siblings, we all evacuated to Manila to a relative.
So there are no more MLF in Ipil. Zamboanga, but rather it's now the layer of the Abu Sayyaf. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor, Abu Sayyaf. That's it. And then
Was
he
there
put
any
in honey.
occasion that you were there during that time?
When I took a
Classes between
vacation,
the military and the Abu Sayyaf?
yes, Your Honor, I have that experience when I think I was pregnant with my first child or second child, and then we took a vacation there, and we have to hide because the firing is really they keep on firing at each other, and it's so dangerous to be out there. So in our house, Your Honor, we have our comfort room designed in such a way it's very thick the cement so that it will not so that the bullets will not go through. So we all hid in our toilet to avoid.
And also I learned that you were transferred from your station in RTC Ligao City, Albay to RTC Manila because of the alleged threat in your security.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you not apprehensive on your application for a higher position?
No, Your Honor, because I'm used to the life.
And you used to
The
because
life.
you came from Ipil, Zamboanga.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, when I received threats in Bicol, Your Honor, I just had it recorded, blattered in the PNP station. Then I submitted a copy to the OCA and the Office of the Court Administrator. They were worried because at that time there were already judges being killed. So they told me that we have to transfer you first to Manila. That's the reason why I was transferred to Manila.
You have been in the RTC for 15 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
The totality of your service in the government, how many years?
It's I started with the government in 1987 with the Philippine Senate,
Philippine
and
Senate?
then so it's more than 20 years already. I guess it's more than 20 years, Your Honor, because I started
Philippine,
my government stint in uh 2007. No, 19 1997. That's after the during the government of President Corazon Aquino. That's where I joined the government after that EDSA revolution.
after the EDSA revolution, that
After
was
the EDSA revolution,
1980.
I joined the government, Your Honor, at the Philippine Senate, and I
As,
handled the Caribbean Committee.
as what? Legislative officer, staff officer
Yes, Your Honor.
at the Blue Ribbon Committee under the supervision
I
of
served I served three senators. The first one was Senator Tufisto Tigingona Jr., the first
okay,
chairman. Then the second, I served also Senator Wigberto Tañada. And the last, for how many days, I also served
Bichiga.
Senator Aquilino Pimentel because he was,
Kilin Pimentel, not
yes,
Bichiga.
Your Honor. He was, yes, Your Honor.
So you've been in the government service more than 20 years.
More than 20 years. To be exact, Your Honor, I think 23 years this
They
year.
say that government employees who have been in their positions for so long are already lax and no longer have the motivation for improvement. What can you say about this?
I beg to disagree, Your Honor, because up to now I've been introducing a system to really dispose of my cases. In fact, when I was assigned in Cavite City from September 2017 up to December of 2019, I was able to dispose 1,901 cases, both civil and criminal. Because when I took over, the case was more or less 1,500. So I put up a system wherein I could dispose of the case uh, fast manner. So it's not true. I think it depends on the person. Like me, because according to them, I'm a hardworking person, and I really would like to be very busy at all times. So I it's not really my my policy of just being relaxed. And I always think of the cases, especially those who are in prison, because most of the cases when I arrive in Cavite City, oh, they already had served their sentences. That's why I have to fast track. And I was able to dispose a good number of cases. That's 1,901 cases. I just assumed September 2017, and then I left December 2019. So more or less 2 years, a few months.
What's interested you in taking the FPA, this examination administered by the Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority?
Actually, it was my dad. My dad, because my mom, we have a drugstore. My mom is a pharmacist. She has a drugstore, and he is also selling fertilizers
Also
for
selling
some
drugs?
products. Now, at that time, there was a requirement by the FPA that somebody should pass the exam and should be licensed. So my dad told me, "Oh, you take the exam, you review that, you go there and you try to get the materials and try to review." So I attended the seminar at Makati FPA office. And then after the seminar, we had the exam, and I passed the exam. So I already have my license, and that's being used by my mom in her store. In
Ah,
That's the reason why I was able to take that.
so you were once a drug pusher?
No, Your Honor.
Pushing fertilizer and pesticide.
It's my mom's business.
Ah,
Use
your mom.
only my license, my name, because I was the one who passed the exam.
Mm. All right, let's go to your SALN, please. Do you have the records of yours? How come you do not declare your cash on hand, cash deposits in your SALNs?
Because I usually have my ATM salary account, and usually what is maintained there is only the maintaining balance. I think 100 pesos for salary ATM. Uh, uh, at the time when I submitted those SALNs, I don't have savings at that time. That's why I cannot place. It's only my ATM that I'm using. Because at that time, Your Honor, my children are studying. And, I've even making loans from GSIS for their studies because they're already in college.
But in your PDS, you state that your cash deposits amounted to 987,459.
In that, Your Honor, because when we sold the family property of my father, I had a share. So that my share, I had it deposited. That's why I already had there my certification from the bank recently. And Your Honor, that amount is not really mine, the entire amount. Only, I think, if my memory serves me right, only 700,000 something. The 200,000 plus belongs to my aunt, because my aunt is staying in the USA, in Massachusetts, and she designated me as her administrator here in the Philippines. And the tenants proceeds from the tenants, they're deposited there, joint account. Me and my aunt, we have a joint account, but that does not belong to me. I'm just the administrator. When there's already plenty of money, then I remit that to the US. I transmit that to the US through the land bank. But at this moment, I have not yet, because the amount is just almost 300,000. So my aunt will just give me instruction when to remit the money, the proceeds of his property or her properties.
All right, is it understood that the magistrates as well as lawyers should be abreast with recent legal developments, as
Yes,
well as jurisprudence and laws, decisions from the court? When you're even asked by, we're even asked by Justice Tiam regarding in relation to drug case penned by Justice Leonen.
yes, Your Honor.
All right, what are the two tests used in determining the validity of delegation of legislative power?
Uh, First, as a rule, legislative power could not be delegated to someone or to a group who are not authorized uh, to act on the same. Now, however, in with the Supreme Court has the power to make its own rules, internal rules. So with that, the lawmaking power with respect to the judiciary, it belongs to the Supreme Court. That's how I understand it, Your Honor.
There are two tests.
To test, the first one, if it will not be violative of the Constitution, the basic fundamental law of the land. And although I have not read, but the second, I will just surmise, is that if there is an express authority given that the legislative function could be delegated to a certain uh, institution or organization.
All right, let's switch to statutory construction. What is the doctrine of necessary implication?
I submit, Your Honor, that the doctrine of necessary implication is it is a doctrine wherein we could the implications could be uh, or could implications uh, is important. It is necessary uh, to come up with whatever is being prepared or whatever is being resolved. Since it impliedly it's necessary, then it could be utilized.
How do courts interpret a law following the doctrine of mens legislatoris?
Well, the court, I submit, Your Honor, that the court could interpret uh, the rules uh, based on sometimes we go if it's we go into the transcript of of the legislative body that passed that law and try to see on what are the discussions taken and what are the results of that discussion, what's the meaning that they want to put into that law. That's how I understand it, Your Honor. We could check on the transcript and the records of the lawmaking body that passed the law to be able to see what's the intent, the intention. That's how I understand it, Your Honor.
Where are you now, Judge? You are in Ligao?
No, Your Honor, because I took a leave of absence for today. I have to come home because in Ligao we don't have internet because of that recent typhoon, Rolly and Ulysses. And even the data, it's so difficult to use the data there. Nawawala po. It's not, so that's why I have to take a leave of absence and come home here in Cavite because I have at home we have our PLDT fiber bundle.
What was the first town in the Albay after Camarines Norte?
Camarines Norte is when you travel from there, the first town I think it's Sipokot. Sipokot.
That is already Albay.
No, Your Honor, still Kamsur. Because Cam Norte and then Kamsur and then Kamsur Albay.
So Ligao is what's the first town in Albay?
In Albay. Well, when you cross the
From
Broom Bridge, the first town is Agus Pulangi Albay, Pulangi.
Pulangge. So
Yes,
Ligaw,
Your Honor.
Ligaw is before Kamalig.
No, Your Honor. Kamalig is after Ligao. Uh,
Ah,
Pulangi, after Pulangi, we will pass by um, Uwas, and then Uwas. But Uwas is at the inner. There's a road there going to Uwas. And after Uwas, then we have Ligao City.
Ligaw.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then Kamalig, Ginubatan.
Kamalig, Ginubata. Ginubatan first. Ligao, Ginubatan, Kamalig, and then Daraga, and then
Daragan.
Legazpi. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So my last question, Judge. What was the most difficult question you have answered?
Today, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, that men's legislatura and the other one. Uh, that's the difficult thing that I've answered today because if my memory serves me right, most probably I did not encounter that anymore recently. Most probably when I was a student at the time, but not now anymore. It's been too long, 15 years already, more than 15 years. So
Can I
I
repeat?
forgot. But I tried my best to answer, Your Honor.
Mens legislatoris,
Yes, Your Honor.
akin to anyone, any term, mens.
Well, legislature is legislative. Men's is more or less.
About legis,
Legis, that's about law.
toris.
With, I cannot remember the tourist, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That was my last and final questions. And good luck.
Thank you very much, po. Thank
Manay.
you. Thank you.
Thank, thank you very much, Your Honor, Judge Ilaw. The last to interview Honorable Judge Lucero is Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza. Your Honor, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Justice.
It appears from your records that you were detailed to Manila because of the death threats, but because of the order of the new Chief Justice, you were returned to your original station. Are there still threats?
So far, Your Honor, I have not heard of any threat anymore.
No
It has
more?
been, yes. But I'm still very careful, Your Honor, because according to my friends from the PSG, we should not forget if you have threats because sometimes they act after so many years. So I'm still very careful, although I'm not afraid, but I'm still very careful in my stay in that place, Your Honor.
You are used to threats anyway, because
Yes, Your
according
Honor.
to you, when you were young, you had experience in IPIL.
Yes, Your Honor.
You applied twice already, 2011 and 2018, right?
Yes, Your Honor, for the Court of Appeal.
Were you nominated?
No, Your Honor.
Not immediately, no. But now you have served for 15 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it's about time. But it's all, well, depends upon so many circumstances. You are
Yes,
not
Your Honor.
applying in the Court of Taxation.
No, Your Honor, because I am not an accountant.
Yes, so I will not ask you about the Court of Appeals. I will ask you, I will just base it on what you have written. You have been extensively interviewed by my colleagues, and they covered a lot of areas. Uh, it appears that you are really experienced and uh, really you keep yourself up to date on certain rules and laws. So, in your essay, I will start from your essay. Oh, but number four, I will skip this because I have so many questions on this number four. But you are not applying in the CTA. Okay, I'll go to number five. Uh, can you expound on this answer on the judicialization of politics? You wrote something about this. It's here with me. I'm reading it. I've read it actually, but I want you to expound on it.
It's the way I understand it, judicialization of politics. I think there's a question there, Justice, and that's what I answered. So
Yes, yes.
I don't. I think if
My question now is your understanding of judicialization of politics in general, not necessarily as your answer to the question.
okay, I humbly submit, Your Honor, that the way I understand judicialization of politics is that if we if it is uh, if it is appropriate that the court in making decisions regarding executive branch actions, if it is judicialization of politics. Well, uh, I remember having answered that it is not. But judicialization, it means that the judiciary will be uh, participate or taking uh,
Or used by
action
politicians. Or
on
used by politicians.
yes,
Want to oust somebody if they file a case for co-warranto.
yes, but it's
Is
not.
that a judicialization of politics?
No, your honor, it's not a judicialization of politics. It's an inherent function of the judiciary regarding co-warranto petitions.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I,
Now,
I
what is your view on oh, what is your understanding of judicial review?
judicial review are cases presented before the higher tribunal for review. Uh, if they have some questions, especially questions of law, they raise the matter for judicial review to the higher tribunal, Your Honor.
Before, usually political questions were taboo. I mean to say they were not allowed to be given due course in the courts. But now, with the amendment of the Constitution, judicial review has been expanded. Can you expand on what you have earlier mentioned or stated?
Yes, Your Honor, because it's indeed true that when we were studying political issues, they are not, it's a taboo to the judiciary. However, now, with our recent jurisprudence, we already, the judiciary, especially the higher tribunal, they already take action on political issues raised and other issues like co-warranto regarding the legal right of the person holding the office. Those are subject already to review by the higher tribunal. And I think
You
if
mentioned co-warranto.
that, then that would be a
You mentioned co-warranto. In the case of former Chief Justice Sereno was a quo warranto proceeding. Was there a review of the quo warranto in that case?
Actually, it's a petition for quo warranto that was filed by
Yes,
the.
it was not a review.
It's not a review.
The
It was
Supreme
a
Court was
petition
exercising its original jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, Your Honor. Yes, Your
I
Honor.
see. Oh, okay. No, you continue what you were saying about judicial review because I might have I asked that because I might forget that you were saying that the court was reviewing the co-warranto decision. So now you corrected yourself. It's now accurate. So continue what you were saying.
So for political issues, Your Honor, although I believe that it's not really absolute that all political issues. So, but I do believe that the higher tribunal has now the function of reviewing some political issues raised before it, and it is already in accordance with the uh, uh, recent trends or the present situation now. So I would say that
Because of recent trends, they are allowed.
some,
Because
but not all.
because of some decisions, it is now allowed. Judicial review is now allowed.
Yes, Your Honor. Some, not all.
Not
Some,
all.
some.
Actually, the basis is not the decisions, but the constitutional provision itself on judicial review.
Yes,
And in the Constitution says the court can invoke its power to review, but there is grave abuse of discretion.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not recent jurisprudence, but the Constitution itself. Okay.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay. Now is the rule absolute?
I submit, Your Honor, no.
Yes. What is the exception? Where can the court not intrude?
The court cannot intrude if the issues raised.
There are limitations. So
There are limitations, Your Honor. The High Tribunal will not take action on the matter if it is purely political in nature.
now that is already covered by judicial review, they did away with that. Even political questions can be covered. But you are from Ligaw Albay. I'll give you a tip, a lead, a hint.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was filed by Congressman Lagman. Congressman Lagman.
Your Honor, actually, I'm not really from Ligaw.
Anyway, I know.
I
know you were just assigned there. I know.
Yes.
I know. Your mother is from EPL and your father
Yes.
came from Batangas. I know. I was listening.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
But the congressman there is Congressman Lagman. I'm just giving you a clue or a hint to lead you.
I would be very candid, Your Honor. I have not I did not come across with the bill of.
I thought it's not a bill.
Lagman.
It's not a bill. It's a petition in the Supreme Court.
Petition before the Supreme Court.
Oh, you are not update. How do you update yourself on recent laws and jurisprudence?
It's
and
through
developments.
Through research, Your Honor, through the internet. If there's an internet.
Oh, I see. Oh, you
But
were in Manila.
in
You have been in Cavite. You have been in Manila. So you have internet, and the Supreme Court provided you with CDs, diba?
Yes, Your Honor, but sometimes the CDs are late The dates are late. The
Sige,
month.
I'll give you a hint again. Judicial restraint. Oh, what is your understanding of judicial restraint?
Well, the court is
The court
restrained to act
restraint.
on certain cases. So the
Certain
judiciary
cases.
should
Yes.
restrain from acting on the case.
What
That's
case?
how I understand with the word.
What case? Do not be too literal. Restraint, judicial restraint.
The particular case, Your Honor.
Yes, you remember. I'm not asking the particular case. You remember your constitutional law?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So
Oh, so
those that are provided in the Constitution, then the judicial there's a
what is provided in the Constitution?
particularly I'm not very sure, Your Honor, but I'm just
Yeah.
guessing because
Guessing.
I
Okay.
will be very honest. I
Okay.
have not.
We have limited time. I'm sorry, cannot allow you to guess.
The
You're just guessing.
with
Well,
respect, Your
anyway,
Honor.
for example, the judiciary cannot intrude into the internal affairs of the legislature or the executive. Okay? That is judicial restraint. Unless there is grave abuse of discretion. For example, the minority bloc questioned there being the other minority bloc being designated as the recognized minority bloc. The Supreme Court dismissed the petition because it says it's an internal affair of the legislative. You came from the Congress, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, that's the
The
one.
Blue Ribbon Committee.
Yes, Blue Ribbon Committee. They have their own rules. Uh, suppose the lower house has its own rules regarding minority bloc. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then uh, one bloc was deprived. He complained again that they are the real minority because the speaker and the majority violated the rules. So he went to the Supreme Court alleging grave abuse of discretion. Can the Supreme Court act on that? Can it give due course to the petition? Will it exercise judicial restraint?
Your Honor, since the ground for filing a petition before the higher court is abuse of discretion, then that would be a ground for action on the part of the high tribunal because the ground is specifically provided
If
under the
you allege grave abuse of discretion, is that an automatic ground for the Supreme Court to give due course to the petition?
it could be given due course. However, they have first to assess before acting on it. They have to evaluate whether the ground of grave abuse is really there. But if
Okay.
not, then there's no
So
need for the higher court to act.
after
But if there's a
after
ground
this,
here, then they could.
after this, you review those things.
Yes, Your
So
Honor,
you can
because
be
we
enlightened. Now, what is your view on the decisions of the courts in general? What is the civil code provision on decisions of the court? What is your view on that?
well, I find the decisions of the court to
No, what
be
is your finding? What is the civil code provision? Relax lang, Judge. Relax lang. You listen first to the question. What is the civil code provision? On first 8 provisions of the civil code regarding decisions of the court shall, you forgot,
the decisions of the court uh,
Yes.
shall be the I cannot mention the entire provision.
Yeah, one sentence lang naman yun eh.
Oo.
Oh.
Na sa totoo lang, justice talagang ninervyos ako kasi iba yung mga na-review ko eh. The recent ones,
Yeah.
yung mga rules.
Lang naman, I do not ask na yung mahihirap kasi hindi nasasagot. So I ask yung basic. Oh.
Shall be the ano the decisions of the court shall be the basis of shall be the basis of
Others answer that they shall form part of the law of the land. Do you agree?
yes, I agree, Your Honor.
You agree
I agree that they shall form part, and
of
at the same time,
the laws of the land.
yes, Your Honor.
Is
And
that
then,
not is that not judicial legislation?
no, Your
If
Honor,
the
I don't.
decisions form part of the laws of the land,
No, Your Honor,
that
because
is
as I
not
have
judicial legislation.
no, Your Honor, because I have said
But
earlier,
oh,
the Supreme Court is also empowered to make its own rules and
oh,
the decisions, jurisprudence.
how
They're the
about
ones
laws
relying
of
upon.
the land?
Yes, Your Honor,
They
they're
become laws of the land.
it's not actually, strictly speaking, it's not a law, but it is
What?
jurisprudence,
Oh,
which is the
jurisprudence.
base, which
Uh,
jurisprudence,
that's why
which
I
we
asked you
recognize.
if you would agree to that, because there were so many who answered that it forms part of the law of the land.
Actually, Your Honor, it's strictly speaking, it's not really a law. It's a
Huh?
jurisprudence where we based
Oh,
also our.
they are wrong. Oh, you base it on
I'm not saying they're
jurisprudence?
wrong, Your
No,
Honor,
no.
but
Okay. You said you base it on jurisprudence. What
they are not
jurisprudence?
jurisprudence, Your
What
Honor.
decision? What decision?
The decisions of the Supreme Court, they are our
They form part
jurisprudence,
of oh
which form part of
of the
our
law of the land.
law. Uh, I cannot call it strictly law of the land. It's more
Hmm.
of it's
Because
a
you agreed earlier.
it's a
Yun lang
jurisprudence
naman.
which we usually based, and it is utilized by the judiciary in make, especially the
Utilize.
lower courts, in making decisions, Your Honor.
Okay. You are the first honorable mention in religion
Yes, Your Honor.
in La Consolacion College. Very good. Now in
Yes,
New
Your
York,
Honor.
the governor restricted the number of attendees in the church. The Catholic Church opposed the imposition by the state government and went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court gave due course to the petition and ruled against the state by saying that it was an infringement of the rights of the faithful. Okay? Uh, do you agree on that? Because you have written here that the ano can because what you wrote here is different from the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court, uh, I agree with the decision that it's really the what the state had done is really an a what do you call this? What the
An
Supreme what the
infringement.
infringement? Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Infringement of the
Of the
right
right.
person to religion and to faith to beliefs.
Oh.
So, if the Supreme Court of the U.S. had ruled against the state, then that I fully agree on that,
Are you
because
agree?
we should not infringe the right of the faithful to their religion, to their belief. In our life, all of us, whatever religion, very important is our faith in our God. It is very important because that will guide us in our daily work, daily activities. If we follow the teachings of the church on how to be good Christians. So
So you agree with the U.S. Constitution. What is the policy of the court towards religion or the separation of
separation
church
of
and
church
state?
and state supposed to be, Your Honor. It's
Yes, in our country.
our constitution provides that there's a separation of church and state
Yes,
in
yes,
our
and
country.
the
So
church,
I think that will
the
be,
state will not interfere with the affairs of the church. Correct?
yes, Your Honor.
Yes, yes. What is the policy of the state regarding or their policy regarding such uh, religious practice
It's allowed
or belief?
the policy
What is
of
the theory? What is the theory?
I cannot mention the exact year, but I know the case that
Yes,
if your
I
religion,
will help you. Escritor versus Estrada.
yes, Your
Okay,
Honor, if
I've been
the
leading you. Oh,
if the religion of that person requires him not to attend flag
no,
ceremony
that's
with
that is adrenal. Like I'm just asking that theory. You're referring to adrenal case, okay, and versus the Department of Education. I
yes,
know that the Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm asking our policy on that, the policy adopted by our courts.
the policy adopted by our court is we have
Yes,
to
what is
respect.
that? Now,
We
what
have
is
to
that? What do you
respect
call that term? What do you call that term?
religious. I cannot remember but it's a religious.
Anyway, it is. We have no more time. Uh, Benevolent neutrality theory.
Yes, benevolent
Uh,
neutrality. Yes, I remember it now.
so the state
We have to respect.
no, if they want to uh, not to limit the number of people, the state cannot intrude.
Yes, Your
Our
Honor.
country, we cannot
Yes,
impose any restriction.
yes, Your Honor. But now,
That is
because
your view. That is your view.
before, Your Honor, but now because of the
But
pandemic,
now, why is the rule changing? Is the rule changing, or is there is an exception?
there is an exception. I believe there's
What
an
is the exception? What is the
one now
exception?
because of the pandemic.
Oh, is that a
Those who are,
constitutional ground? What is the ground? Jurisprudential ground. What is the ground? What do you call that ground? You do not cite pandemic. What is the general term for that?
for national security or
National
for
security,
national security
health.
or
What do you call them?
risk.
National security, national health, public health. What do you
Yes.
call them? Compelling state interest in yun.
Or
Compelling state interest. Maybe you're tired already. Compelling state interest.
interest or
So, can the state compel inoculation of COVID vaccine on all the population to prevent the pandemic?
I don't I beg to
So,
disagree, Your Honor.
in the
I think
individual,
only
an individual can resist because it's his right to die, to commit suicide, right?
yes,
Right?
Your Honor. And
Oh,
besides, if
how about the right of the other person that we should not be contaminated? Uh, he has no right to contaminate others, right?
Your Honor, there are other remedies or measures to avoid contamination. But what is important is that uh, if the government will
So
give
the
free
court
vaccination,
cannot
then
make it mandatory.
yes, Your Honor, not.
Regardless
Depends on the
whether it's
person.
free or not, even if free, kahit na ayaw, hindi pwedeng ineksyonan.
No, because if they don't want, even during examination, if you don't want to be examined, then you cannot be under
They
our
cannot.
rules and jurisprudence. Yes. I
Okay.
think there should be a survey first before they should go on
Survey.
that. Yes, Your
Survey.
Honor.
How do you
Because
make a survey?
there are already news, Your Honor, that there are two who were injected for trial in I think in London, United Kingdom. They already had side effects, allergies. So how much
Yes.
more for us here? So I think the individual person has the right to reject if it will not be good for herself or himself.
But if they are not inoculated, they can be restricted in some other ways, right? To
Yes, Your
avoid.
Honor. That could be possible,
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Okay, that
That
will be all, Judge, kasi we have no more time.
okay. Thank you very
So
much
many
po.
questions pa, pero no mo, parang pagod
Thank you
na.
very much
You're having a
po.
mental block. Oh, sige.
Yes.
Oo.
Kasi
Sige,
I
you're
have reviewed.
excused na.
Yeah,
Oo.
thank you very much for justice kasi ang ni-review ko po yung mga bagong rules.
Ano
Like
yung bagong rules?
yung mga gano.
Yung mga
So,
reply, yung ba?
I did not look over the
Oh,
old ones, only the new
oh,
ones.
basic
And the
lang
new
yun.
cases, like
Basic
yung mga
na
court
tinanong ko eh.
cases.
And situations to test
Mm.
your reasoning. Oo. Yun lang
But I
naman.
tried my very best, Your Honor,
Oo.
to really answer
Yes.
despite those that I have some I forgot all the others, but I
Oo.
tried my very
But do
best to
not
answer.
forget the old.
Yes,
Do
because
not forget the old
time
because
the
the
old
old
is better.
The
I
old
will
is still applicable, ha? The old
yes,
is still applicable.
yes, Your
Okay?
Honor. Yes.
Sige.
Thank you very much
You're
po.
excused now.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck. Oo. I hope you make it this time. You applied twice pala before. Oo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oo.
Well,
Ano
yes,
yan? Divine providence yan. Bahala na si Lord.
yes, Your
But
Honor.
you
You are
help your
very
help also. You help yourself also.
yes, Your Honor.
Sige. Oo.
Thank you very much.
Ah,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Thank you very
Excuse
much.
na.
And we bid you good luck, Judge Rosero. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Judge Justice Mendoza. That brings to a close the public panel interview of Honorable Amy Ana L. de Villa Rosero.
Thank you.
Hmm. Hindi, nuno lang. Hindi niya kilala sila. Lumaki April sa buwan.
Your Honors, to be interviewed next is Honorable Judge Jacinto G. Fajardo Jr., presiding judge of the Regional Trial Court Branch 66, Talisay City, Cebu. He is an aspirant for the position of Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals in the Sandigan Bayan. Good morning, Your Honor, Judge Fajardo. The
Good
first
morning.
to ask you questions is Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Ann.
Welcome.
Okay. Good morning, Judge Fajardo.
Good morning, Your Honor.
How are you today?
I am fine.
Okay.
Although I am a bit nervous, of course.
Why?
Well,
Bakit?
I'm not used to this kind of a situation where I have to face my superior. I would say my superior.
But this is not the first time that you were interviewed, di ba, for the appellate court.
This is my second time.
Second time. Last year, you were interviewed, di ba?
I was not interviewed last year. The year before.
In 2018?
18.
Okay. Now, since your last interview in 2018, has there been any significant change in your credentials up to today?
Well, I would say there was improvement in terms of performance in my work. There's been significant disposal of cases.
Okay.
As further, I would say that I have put my court closer to the people that I serve in Talisay.
Okay. But you're not from Talisay.
I am from Bicol, from Sorsogon.
From Bicol. And when were you assigned in Talisay?
I was assigned in Talisay sometime in 2013.
So for how long have you been there?
7 years.
7 years.
now.
Your branch is RTC branch 66 now.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is your caseload now?
My caseload now, it's now down to 800 to 900.
How's that?
It's now
800?
down 800 to 900.
Okay. So it's no longer 1,118
Yes, yes,
as
Your Honor.
reflected last year of December.
Yes, Your Honor. In my latest letter dated November 5, 2020, addressed to the JBC, my load done was 1,074
Mm-hmm.
out of 4,809 from a high of 4,809. So a drastic reduction of 3,000 plus. But in the months of October and November, I was able to dispose more than 200. So it's now down to 800 to 900.
Okay. Now, for how long have you been with the judiciary?
My stint in Talisay is my first job in the judiciary. So I would say that I've been in the judiciary for 7 years now.
7 years only?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And prior to that, where were you connected?
I was into private practice. I was part of the law firm Pardo Law Office. Then I worked as vice president for legal affairs with Philippine Journalists Incorporated, the publisher of People's Journal. And yes, that's it.
Okay. Now, Judge, you're a diabetic.
No, I'm not. I'm not, Your Honor, please.
But while you were certified to be physically fit, there were adverse results shown sa results sa lab tests.
Yes, Your Honor. I was.
Urinalysis, yung blood mo may +1 trace
Mhm.
sa urinalysis, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then FBS mo, fasting blood sugar, this is high.
Yes, Your Honor.
This was taken only last August.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
yet you say you're not a diabetic?
Well, I've been into physical activities, Your Honor. I play basketball at my age. I play badminton. I lift weights. I jog almost daily.
Okay.
So I'm physically fit. Although my sugar, I admit that it's rather high.
What's your sugar level now?
Well, I have done something about it. I am not sure. I haven't subjected myself to laboratory examination, but then I
But
must.
your lab test was taken last August, no?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Can you still remember the sugar level?
I am sorry, Your Honor. I could not recall anymore. Although I was advised by my physician, my attending physician, my first cousin who is an internist, she said that my sugar level is rather high.
Yeah. Also with your cholesterol.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, in your chest X-ray, it shows that you have atherosclerotic aorta. Do you understand what this is all about?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with medical terms, Your Honor.
Okay, ask your physician about it. Huh? Okay, Judge, how independent are you?
Very much independent, Your Honor. In fact, I I have myself uh, influence from politicians in my locality. I've never been approached by anybody. Shows how independent I am.
Okay, as an independent person, you are setting high standards. You are confident,
Yes, Your
energetic.
Honor, please.
Okay. But there are times that you become rigid and stubborn. Am I correct?
Probably, Your Honor, please.
And
Rigid and stubborn in the sense that I spend 7 days a week in my court, and I stayed
okay,
as late as 10 o'clock in the evening. That's my
that
stubbornness.
the stubbornness. Ah,
Yes.
okay. How about your rigidity? Still the same.
Well, I would say that it's still the same. I I don't play around. I stick to my routine. Stay away
I
from.
thought you were saying earlier that you play basketball, you jog, and now you say
Yes,
that you are not playing around.
no,
What do you mean by it?
I'm referring to socializing. I'm
Socializing.
socializing. I don't socialize.
So you are a loner.
Yes, I am.
Uh,
And I'm fortunate that my family is away. That's why I spend a lot of time in my work. I
okay. And
spend
being a
some.
loner, you are very sensitive. You don't like to be criticized.
No, no, that's no. I welcome criticism. In fact, it helps me to grow as a person.
Hmm. How about if the criticism is destructive? How do you deal with it?
It depends on how it is presented to me. If it's presented to me in such a way that there's malice, then I would take it as it is. But then I welcome it. I welcome every criticism.
Whether constructive or
Whether
destructive?
destructive, yes.
Okay. Now, there are times when you are confronted with two works, two kinds of work. Now, one is less complex, while the other is more complex. Between the two, which would you prefer to work on?
Well, first I would work on the less complex first. Then I would concentrate the rest on the most
No,
more
between the two lang. Wala nang first, second. Between the two, which would you
depending
prefer to work on?
depending on what is at stake. If the
Hmm.
stake is higher in complex cases, then I would concentrate on that. I would prefer that. I welcome challenges.
Don't you prefer less complex work?
Well, if the complexity is by the nature of the work, I don't mind it. But if the complexity is brought about by my uh, lack of effort, then I have nobody to blame but myself. But in that situation, I have to make up for that lack of effort on my part.
Now, there are times, Judge, that you also become excited. Your anxiety is heightened. How do you cope with it?
I manage my uh, I manage my excitement, anxiety.
Hmm.
Yes, I try to calm down when I'm anxious and under stress. I try to calm down. I think I go into physical activities just to uh, keep my keep my cool, and that's how uh, I face anxiety.
Under that circumstance, does it result normally to some aggressiveness on your part?
I would say at my age, I have mellowed a lot. So the word aggressiveness is somehow a relative term for me now. I'm past my aggressive years. I'm now 65, going to 66, and I don't think it speaks high of me if I still be aggressive.
Okay.
So I try to manage my emotions.
Being a loner, as you said, how is your relationship with your staff?
Well, they love me, Your Honor. They love me.
They love you.
In fact, yes, in fact, not only my staff, but the people around the community. We probably can check. Can check around and try to find some people who might have a different, who might differ in my notion or observation.
How can a loner, one who does not socialize, loved by people?
Well, in my court, I treat everybody fairly. I try to joke around. I'm a loner in the sense that I don't socialize, but in my station, I socialize with my staff.
Okay.
I socialize with my staff, and yes, that's it, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when did you pass the bar, Judge?
1985, Your Honor.
1985. That was your second try.
That was my second try.
Okay. What happened on the first? Lack of
I
preparation?
guess I was too confident. Lack of preparation.
Yeah,
I was
because
confident
you
I would
were
pass it even without preparation.
confident. You were confident. And when you are confident, somehow your rigidity and stubbornness set in. Kaya na hindi mo nakuha yung first try mo. Okay, anyway. In your PDS, you wrote that despite the lockdown, because brought about with pandemic, you still managed to dispose of 585 cases. Can you tell us how you did it? Judge?
The connectivity is bad, Your Honor.
You're choppy now. I don't know if you're the one choppy or I'm the one choppy.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm my connectivity is bad, but so I have another standby gadget by cell phone.
Sige, Judge. Okay. So, shall I repeat the question?
Your Honor.
Up.
Judge Fajardo, can you hear me po? Judge Fajardo? Dennis, can we send a message to Judge Fajardo, please? Switch to his secondary device. Just a minute lang po, Your Honor. We'll try to fix his connection.
Yes, please.
Judge Fajardo, can you hear me now? Yes, Judge
Yes,
Fajardo.
please.
Okay, Judge De Monteverde, thank you.
Okay. Judge Fajardo, can you hear me?
Yes,
Your
Your Honor.
bandwidth is slow, Judge Fajardo. Can we switch to your data? Data mode po. Judge Fajardo, there.
Data.
Yes,
Just a
Judge. Can
moment.
you turn on your...
I lost my my stuff. Just a moment, please.
Yes, Judge, may we ask you to turn on the video of your secondary device, and then we'll switch to your secondary device na po. That is a mobile phone po. May we ask you to use your earphones, Judge?
Salamat na. Thank you. Thank you,
Judge?
Your Honor.
Judge,
I'm not,
can you hear me, Judge? Are you using your mobile phone now?
yeah, I'm now on.
Thank you. Judge De Monteverde, thank you.
Yes. Can you hear me, Judge Fajardo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Shall I repeat the question?
Your Honor.
Shall I repeat the question, or were you able to get it?
I wasn't able to get the question, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll repeat it.
My
Okay.
connectivity is very poor.
Okay. Despite the lockdown brought about by the pandemic, Judge, you mentioned that you still managed to dispose of 585 cases. Can you tell us how you did it?
Yes, Your Honor. First, I made use of plea bargaining, practically not in drugs cases, but in other cases like robbery, plea bargain for theft, sexual assault, for acts of lasciviousness. Of course, always with the conformity of the private complainant and the prosecutor.
Okay.
With respect to drug cases, my court is really deals with drugs cases. Balisa is known for as a drug haven, and despite during the pandemic, Your Honor, we seldom went into lockdown. We still conducted video conferencing, and there were only two occasions that I ordered the lockdown of my court because of two employees were found to be suffering from symptoms of COVID. But after that, I never extend the lockdown. It will not. Sometimes it takes only 2 or 3 days. With the lockdown, I made sure that uh, the building is disinfected, rather disinfected.
Judge,
So
your court
during the
is
lockdown, during the height of the pandemic,
yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
during the pandemic, we never stopped conducting hearings, and we never stopped going to court. In fact, during the time that there were no hearings, we made use of the time to decide cases. That's why there was one. I'm sorry, there was one month. I think it's in the month of April, where we, despite on one case was filed in my court, there was no hearing. I was able to dispose 15 cases. These were decided cases, civil as well as criminal. Now, for the month of May, no case filed before court, but still, we're able to dispose 26 cases. Again, this reflected the disposal through decisions in criminal as well as in civil cases.
Okay.
So we never stopped. We were never deterred by COVID, and that's why I said that I brought my court closer to the people that I serve.
Okay. Were those cases mainly in your court or in other courts where you assisted or you acted as a judge?
No, only in my court, Your Honor. I have
Okay.
stopped assisting other courts. There was a time during that for 2 years I was assisting two courts simultaneously. That's why I was handling three courts, including my court, for 2 years, 2016 to 2018. And there was a time that I also was assigned to a third court in uh, in Cebu City, a drugs court, with the retirement of Judge Paredes. That court became vacant, and I was assigned there. So I was assigned there for 1 year. And aside from my other assignments, like in Bogo, I was there for more than 2 years. Lapu-Lapu for almost more than 2 years also. So all in all, in my short stay in the judiciary, despite being a new judge, was handling three courts or four courts, including my
Your
court.
court is a general one or specialized?
Yes, yes, Your Honor, please. General one, a regular court.
General one. Okay. Now, how long did you finish your Bachelor of Law course?
Your Honor,
Yes. Can you hear me, Judge?
yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Ah,
All right. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
okay. You finished your pre-law course, which was AB Economics, in 7 years. What took you so long in finishing it?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. The reason being that before I graduated, I was incomplete during my fifth year, but then I I worked as a detainment in a pharmaceutical firm for
What
two
firm?
years. So,
What firm?
uh, pharma, but the company itself was Welcome Boros.
But it's
So
not listed.
I
But it's
worked
not
there for two
included.
years. I was assigned in Zamboanga for when
Judge, you missed to include that in your PDS. Yung kwan mo? Yung stint sa pharma? Nandun ba yun?
that was andon, Your Honor. It was
Ah,
there.
nandun
It was
yun?
there. It was stated. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So how about your College of Law? How long did you finish it?
4 years, Your Honor, for
4
4 years.
years. Okay.
I started in 1979, 79, then I finished in 1983.
Now, according to your PDS, the last seminar you attended was sometime in November of 2017, or 3 years ago. Were there no other seminars
Yes, Your
scheduled
Honor.
by the PhilJA?
There was none after that, Your Honor.
So how do you keep
After
yourself?
that, there was none. But
Go ahead.
I read I read a lot, Your Honor. I keep myself abreast with new developments by uh, visiting the websites of Supreme Court, and I ask around. I'm I ask around. I ask my colleagues. I'm not proud not to ask. So that's what I did, just to keep myself abreast with new developments.
How about the recent rulings and issuances of the court? How do you keep abreast of them?
I, Your Honor, we were given CDs. Uh, we were through digital materials. We were furnished by the Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
and conventions among judges, and meetings among judges. So we exchange notes. So it's from them that I got some pointers also.
Okay, my last three questions. How do you measure your success in general?
I would say that I'm I if I were to gauge my success in my stint in the judiciary, it has to come from the people that I serve. Are they happy with my performance? Are they confident that they have a court that performs well and one that is fair and just? It is from there that I draw my strength and habit, my feeling of success, Your Honor. Despite some convictions, I can still roam around with no bodyguard, with nobody but myself to. So I
Okay,
think
Judge. Okay,
these
Judge.
are.
Sige, continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, thank you, Your Honor.
You
Yes,
still have something.
I would
You
say
still
that
have something to say.
my
You
success,
still have.
my gauge of success is. Uh, I'm finished already, Your Honor.
Still have something to say, Judge? If none, I will ask the second question.
Nothing. Not.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
How can someone
Yes, yes.
who is a loner, an introvert, be a successful leader?
Well, by example, one can lead effectively by example. You live a clean life. You treat people fairly.
And by having a clean life, you can lead some people.
You try to be a blessing to other people. You can lead, but I'm not an introvert. I just shy away from socializing because being a judge, I have to face the reality that I cannot socialize. I am not an introvert.
You are
Well,
not, but you are a loner, you said
because
early
I
on.
shy away. Yes, because I shy away from being with people because of my job as a judge.
Okay.
But it is just by choice. Not
Now,
because
earlier,
of my nature as a person,
my
but
last
because
question, Judge, my last question, because my time is up. Earlier, I asked you
yes,
about
Your
your
Honor.
relationship with your staff. How do you encourage your the professional development of your staff?
Well, I'm very lucky when it comes to encouraging them to attend seminars, conventions, to uh, up, uh, to professionalize them. I that's what I usually do to uplift the not only the working condition but the professional well-being of my staff.
Okay, Judge, that was my last question. Thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
po.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Judge de Monteverde.
Thank you, Attorney Ann.
It's the turn of Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham to interview Honorable Judge Fajardo.
Thank you, Attorney Ann.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, po. Good morning, Your Honor.
I interviewed you before, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you related to Attorney Beda Fajardo?
He is my elder brother, Your Honor, please. I'm the youngest
You're
in
the
a brood
youngest.
of five.
All right. Let's talk about your SAL-N. 2015, it was about 6 point something M. 2016, it went up to 10 plus M. Can you explain the sudden increase? Did you win in the sweepstakes
The
or in the lotto?
Yes, no, Your Honor. Actually, there was no increase in assets, but only in terms of the market value. The market value, I stated there, the market value of my property that I own. That's why it went up. But there was no substantial increase in my assets. The money are still within the ones that I declared during my first deed. But the property, the valuation of the property went up.
All right. Judge, police power of the state. Which branch of government exercises police power?
Your Honor, please, executive branch.
The executive.
The executive branch,
Because the executive supervises the police. Is that what you're saying?
no, it's not. It's not that, Your Honor. Well, of course, legislation, Your Honor, legislation, but the implementing arm is the executive, Your Honor. The police power is being exercised by the legislative through laws, but its implementation is done by the executive.
Now, when do laws take effect?
Laws with penal sanctions, they take effect upon publication, Your Honor.
Immediately upon publication? That's what you're saying? So if it is published in January 2021,
first, the law itself will say when will it take effect, Your Honor.
Yes, when
But
will it?
it has to when it.
So it
Judge,
takes effect 15 days after publication. All right, 15 days after publication. Can you hear me, Judge?
Um, Justice, may I be allowed to fix the
Sure.
internet
Go ahead.
connection?
Give instructions to
I'm
the.
sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I have a very poor connectivity. But I'm using the mobile data.
Judge Fajardo, yes, we're going to switch to your mobile data. You are still connected to your Wi-Fi.
Yes, but I'm using now my mobile data.
Nawala lang po yung video nyo sa main device, but you're still connected to your Wi-Fi. May we ask you to connect to your data instead? So, hindi po maputol yung connection ninyo. Right now, the video that we're using is your secondary device, for your secondary device.
Yes, I'm using.
You may ask your assistant, you may ask somebody from your staff po to help you out, so you can switch to data mode po.
Yes. Excuse, please. Excuse.
Or Judge Fajardo, you can also turn to your second device. You can use the video of your second device instead.
Yes, I'm now into my cell phone.
Yes, to your right po, or to your left. You can turn to your left. So you directly to your right. Yes, turn to your left, Your Honor. So you are directly facing your mobile phone, so that we can switch to your secondary device. Thank you, Your Honor. Can you hear me loud and clear po?
Sorry.
You can turn up the volume of your secondary device, but you have to turn down the volume of your main device first to avoid feedback. So on your main device, can we ask your staff to turn down the volume of your laptop?
Okay. But
Turn down po. Do not mute.
to avoid feedback, to prevent feedback. So now on your secondary device, you can turn up the volume of your secondary device now. Unmute it. Yes. Now, can you hear me, Judge Fajardo?
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
you could
sure.
put on your earphones for clearer audio. Use your earphones, Your Honor. Thank you.
Dito sa nito. Dito.
Now, can you hear me, Judge Fajardo?
Yes, yes, no.
Okay, loud
Yes,
and
ma'am.
clear po. Thank you, Your Honor, Justice Tihan.
Okay, thank you. Would you like me to send my questions in writing?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I don't want to inconvenience you, but really the connectivity is very poor.
All right, that's okay. Now, so it's laws take effect 15 days after publication. That's the general rule. Can it be shorter than 15 days?
Well, if the law is if the law
Shorter?
itself if the law itself fixes the law itself fixes the date of its effectivity, then it can be shorter. Other than that, we have to follow the general rule.
Can it
15
take
days.
effect? Can it take effect longer than 15 days?
I think so, Your Honor. It can take as long as it is stated in the law itself.
All right. Now, laws, the general rule is that laws are prospective in operation, correct? That's the
Yes,
general.
Your Honor.
Are there exceptions? And can you give me at least one exception?
Laws with penal sanctions, which are uh, favorable to the accused, Your Honor.
So that's an exception. All right. Now, supposing an accused in a criminal case is erroneously acquitted, does the complainant still have a remedy without violating the constitutional prohibition on double jeopardy?
Your Honor, please, with respect to the civil aspect, yes. But with respect to the criminal aspect, in the first place, he has no personality because it is the state through the public prosecutor that handles the prosecution of the case. He is the complainant is reduced to being a witness for the prosecution. But can he? Your question, Your Honor, is can he elevate the matter, question the acquittal? Well, the criminal aspect, no.
Assuming that the accused was erroneously acquitted by the court, can the aggrieved party avail of any legal remedy in court? Without violating the rule on double jeopardy?
Well, the private complainant cannot complain anymore, Your Honor. It has it has come to it has to come to an end, Your Honor. Whether there is error in the decision, it has come to an end sooner or later, Your Honor.
You were a former AVP for Legal Affairs, Manager, Legal Counsel of Philippine Journalists Incorporated. Now, the question is, you were with media before.
Yes, Your Honor.
The question is an extrajudicial confession given by the accused appellant during an interview conducted by a field reporter of a media company admissible in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, it is admissible in evidence.
Why?
Well, it is
An
not forced.
extrajudicial
It's not a
confession.
coerced. It's not a coerced testimony from the accused. It's voluntarily given by him. She's bound by it. It can be used against him.
In the absence of a lawyer?
Well, he's not under procedural investigation. He's just giving. He's facing a media interview. So there's no coercion, as that would nullify his confession, assuming it is a confession.
The accused was arrested by the police and brought to the police station. In the lobby of the police station, he was interviewed by media people, and he was asked the question, did you really rape the victim? And he was giving excuses that he was saying he was under drugs and he committed the crime. It's an extrajudicial confession. Is that admissible? Extrajudicial confession made by the accused during an interview conducted by a field reporter. You're saying it is not admissible. It is admissible in evidence. Is that what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
It doesn't
It's,
require the presence of a lawyer.
well, that was his choice. That was his risk. He voluntarily gave the information without taking so much risk on as a consequence. There was no force or coercion on the part of the media for him to answer the question. In fact, uh, he could have excused himself and chose not to answer the question. But the fact that he did it voluntarily, it can be used against him.
What is
Even
the Miranda ruling or warning, Judge? What is the Miranda warning?
yes, the Miranda warning cautions the witness to be silent, that any testimony he might give may be taken against him.
He cautions the accused, not the witness.
I,
Cautions the
I'm, so,
accused.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm confused. I'm confused. So you're correct, Your Honor. I'm referring to the accused.
Warning. What is the warning to the accused?
That he has the right to remain silent. That he is entitled to services of counsel. That any testimony that he gives may be used against him in court of law. So that's the warning.
So when is it available? When is it applicable? The Miranda warning.
When the accused is under custodial investigation.
Custodial investigation.
Yes.
What about a confession made by an inmate inside the jail to another inmate who is later on discovered to be an undercover police officer? Undercover police officer. Is the confession made by the accused inmate to his cellmate who is later on identified as an undercover police officer admissible in evidence?
Well, Your Honor, please, the way you picture him, the situation, it could be used as evidence against him. There was no coercion employed by that, although there was no coercion.
The cellmate who heard the confession is an undercover police officer. So you're saying it's still admissible in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, please. Still admissible.
So you're saying that the Miranda warning renders inadmissible evidence given during custodial investigation without the presence of a lawyer. That's the general rule, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
What about the accused during custodial investigation being fingerprinted? Is the presence of his lawyer required during custodial investigation?
Well, in, the presence of the lawyer during the fingerprinting is not required, Your Honor. He can
It's
be
not
he can
required.
be he can, yes, he can be fingerprinted even in the absence of a lawyer.
What about the taking of a blood sample from the accused by the police? Does it require the presence of his lawyer?
Well, if the inmate or the accused objects to it, then there's a need for a lawyer.
So there is a need for a lawyer. He has
Yes.
the right to demand the presence of a lawyer
Yes, Your Honor,
when
please.
blood sample is taken. Okay. Now,
Uh,
what about a lie, a police lineup? Can he demand that his lawyer should be present or during the police lineup identification?
it is, Your Honor, he cannot demand the presence of a lawyer. It's routinary in police matters, in police investigation.
About
The
the taking of a lie detector test by the police, does it require the presence of a lawyer? Can the accused demand the presence of a lawyer?
Yes, because there's already testimonial compulsion
So
on the part.
what is the standard during custodial investigation where you require the presence of a lawyer and where you do not require the presence of a lawyer?
When testimony is required from the inmate, from the accused, Your Honor.
It only
Testimonial. That's
applies, it only
that's test.
applies to testimonial
Yes,
evidence.
yes,
What
Your Honor.
about a lie detector test? Is it testimonial evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. It's testimonial. It's testimonial, though. It's not. It's not. Yes, it is.
It's an equipment, a lie detector test equipment. Is it testimonial?
But just the same, he will be forced to give his testimony, and that can be used against him.
All right. In the lower house, there is a group of people, Congress people, known as the Makabayan Bloc in the lower house, and they filed a complaint against the military establishment because of red tagging. What do you understand by red tagging?
Red tagging is putting the person, categorizing or classifying the person as belonging to the outlaw CPP, NPA, NDF.
Is it imputing a crime? If somebody tells you you are a communist member, you are a communist sympathizer, is that imputing a crime, Judge?
Prior to the passage of executive order criminalizing or outlawing CPP, NPA,
So, so it's
there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with red tagging the accused. The There's nothing wrong with it. In fact,
so it's not a crime. As a
it's not a
matter of
crime.
fact, some senators are asking that it be made a crime
Yes, yes,
because
yes,
it's not yet a crime.
yes, Your
All right.
Honor.
Is there a difference whether the person you're alluding to is a public official or a private individual? Is there a difference? If you tell
Well,
if you tell if you tell if red tagging is penalized under the law, if it becomes a law, if it becomes a crime, if you impute to your neighbor, a private individual, that he is a communist, he is a member of the CPP NPA, will that be actionable under a red tagging law, assuming that there will be one?
well, if red tagging becomes a criminal offense, then it would put the neighbor in hot water. So he has a cause of action.
It becomes a crime, you said. Now,
Yes,
what
yes.
about if you say the same thing towards members of Congress who are public officers? Will it still be a crime?
Um,
In other words, is red tagging of public officials protected speech? That's the question.
mhm. Well, public office is a public trust, and people occupying that should not be onion skin. They are subject to uh, subject to public scrutiny, their actions and demeanors, and so being in public office does not give them the license uh, to
To complain.
complain.
Okay, my last question is, you've been with the media before. What is the doctrine of fair comment in libel cases? You should be familiar with this. You came from the media.
It was more than 20 years ago, Your Honor. But I'll try to answer that. I'll try to answer that.
Okay, that's
Well, every
okay. Try to answer it. Try to answer it.
uh, libelous statements are presumed to be malicious. That's fair comments in the course of uh, performance of a duty is an exception to that presumption of malice.
All right. Judge, thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Justice Tiham. The next to interview Honorable Judge Fajardo is Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr. Your Honor, please. Judge Ilaw.
Unmuted na ako. Unmute.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, yes. Good morning. Thank you, Attorney Yan.
You're welcome, Your
Yes,
Honor.
good morning, Judge Jacinto Fajardo. But you claim to be from Gubat, Sorsogon, yet you were assigned in the Talisay City, Cebu for 7 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how did you adjust? You can be called as a Colvis, Bicolanong Bisaya. Was there any confusion from litigants, lawyers?
Well, there's a court interpreter, Your Honor. So besides Bicol and besides somehow there's some other just the nuances of the dialect are sometimes interrelated. There are Visayan words that I could understand, like tanan is also a Bicol word, tanan, and so many others. So there is no confusion. There is no confusion, Your Honor.
You claim also to be a private practitioner, being a partner at Fajardo Law Offices for 11 years. Tell me
Yes, sir.
about the nature of tell me about the nature of your cases handled in your private practice.
We were into general practice, Your Honor. We handled criminal, we handled civil, admin, labor cases, and we handled the maritime and as well as arbitration, construction arbitration.
And what did you learn from your private practice?
Well, I must say that I, I learned a lot. I how to deal with your client, how to uh, pay respect to the court that you're appearing, how to be, to be. I'm sorry. I learned the virtues of hard work during my stint in the law office because it's all hard work, really.
Your choppy, Judge.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
I don't know. My internet is likewise unstable. Nagbabayad naman ako. Ano ba ito PLDT to? Yes, Judge. Can you still hear me?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your
Alright, in your application letter, you provided data explaining your efficiency as a judge in reducing your case docket loads.
Yes,
You
Your
also
Honor.
mentioned that during the lockdown, you were able to dispose 588 cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you explain your management? Could you explain your management style?
Well, I don't delay cases. I immediately work on them. If there are things that need to be finished, I finish it without much delay. With respect to the number of cases uh, disposed during the pandemic, uh, during the time that the courts were on lockdown, there were no hearings. I concentrated on decision making. That's why in the month of April, where there was only one case filed, uh, we- I was still able to dispose 15 cases through decision making. These were handwritten decisions. In the same manner, in May, there was no case filed before my court, but we were able to dispose 26 cases. Uh, During the times that the courts were open and were conducting hearings, I made use of plea bargaining. That's why I have a good rate of disposal because of this tool. Uh, Practically, I use it in every case. In every case, not only drug cases but also other cases. Um, Plea bargaining helps a lot. It's a very important tool in reducing the docket of a court. In my experience as a trial judge, I make use of plea bargaining, not only in drugs cases, like in cases of sexual assault. I I I use it to reduce the to as a basis for plea bargain from sexual assault to acts of lasciviousness with the conformity of the public prosecutor and the private complainant. In illegal gambling cases, we make use of that also, where instead of the accused being a collector, charged as being a collector, we try to get a bargain from him by reducing by downgrading the offense from being a collector uh, to better. And with respect to, I use a little of ingenuity, like in plea bargaining of illegal gambling. I impose fine. Now, those who are charged as better uh, uh, don't carry a penalty of fine, but only imprisonment of 90 days. But in my case, because of it is the subject of plea bargaining, I impose fines. That's why in my court, I was able to uh, generate revenues from these fines, which by now have a total to 549,000. In fact, I would say that uh, the plea bargaining in illegal gambling is a win for the courts and for the state, for the government. I have observed that in legal gambling, the managers, operators are not being charged. Only the lowly collectors are being charged. Now, the only way to hurt or to make the managers, operators of these gambling operations accountable is through fines imposed through their employees. That's why, although it's not indicated in the gambling law, uh, 9287, I impose fine, and the operators don't seem to care. They pay the fine, despite that there's nothing in the law that says that it can be imposed. I impose it by way of plea bargain. So if you want to reduce your criminal liability, you pay a fine. So I'm happy that most of the accused did so without any complaint.
What case or cases are mostly brought in Talisay City? Drugs cases, all?
Well, Talisay is a drug haven. That's why it was mentioned in one of President Duterte's speeches. There was a time that he mentioned Talisay as being uh, infested with drugs. So, and that's why I could hardly keep pace with the incoming cases. My disposal, while it's significant and substantial, still could not cope up because there was a time that we were disposing 70 to 90 cases a month, and yet cases coming in were 150. So how can we cope with that? So that explains why my caseload uh, my caseload went up went up because of this deluge of drug cases.
All right. Recently, the president mentioned about ni Res Bacan ang asawa ni Mabilog. Have you read this one? Mabilog is from what place?
Mabilog is from Iloilo.
Iloilo. All right. At any rate, so you're going back to the old saying that even in your private practice, you've been a lawyer, you've been abogado de arreglo. Now you are in the court, judiciary. You are now branded as juzgado de arreglo.
No, Your Honor. I was not an abogado de arreglo during my years in practice. but in my court, I encourage settlements. That's why I was able to significantly reduce my caseload because of this. Uh, Especially in cases, old cases, as old as some. In fact, when I was assigned in as assisting judge in Lapu-Lapu, there were cases that I handled as old as 15 years and still running. I was able to settle them. I urged the parties to come to terms, and successfully we were able to settle many of them. So there's no uh, derogatory intonation about settling. In fact, it favors the court.
You are applying in both the Court of Appeals and the Sandigan Bayan. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
If permitted to choose, which court do you prefer?
Well, I viewed the two courts this way, Your Honor. In Sandigan Bayan, it's the atmosphere is not far detached from where I am now. It conducts hearings, and I would be in my comfort zone. But it's one-dimensional, without meaning, and it handles only gap cases. On the other hand, this Court of Appeals gives uh, the the chances, opportunity to grow professionally because it offers a uh, bigger field of law. So professionally, I think CA would be a better choice. If you want to, if one wants to grow professionally as a jurist, then CA, Court of Appeals, offers that opportunity.
And what excites you most about this position, Court of Appeals?
Well, the opportunity to test jurisprudence, Your Honor. As a jurist.
And you had been with the Regional Trial Court in Talisay City for 7 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you think you have contributed enough of your talents and skills in that post?
I think so. With humility, I think so. I said earlier that I brought my court closer to the people that I serve, and I I have impressed upon the public that my court is fair, hardworking, and dependable, and that's why this is not I this is not to brag, but there were instances when I see litigants crying just by knowing that their case would be assigned in my court. In cases where there are two cases pending before two courts and were to be consolidated, not just knowing that the case will fall in my court makes the litigants happy. I saw it myself. It's not brag. It's not. I'm not bragging. So that shows the the trust and confidence that the people making use of the services of my court have uh, have on my court.
So that's from your accomplishments. What is then your most difficult failure?
Uh, my most difficult failure is my failure to be with my family, because I can bring them. I can bring my family here in Talisa because my son is studying in Manila, so I have to be away. That's my failure, and I I I took it as a sacrifice on my part to be alone working in a strange place like Talisay. But Talisay has become my second home. Uh, I uh, I I'm happy with my life here now. I'm happy with my staff, and I can roam around without anybody with me. So that's how safe I feel. How safe I am in this place.
And in concluding, why do you deserve a promotion?
Uh, Your Honor, I would say that I am competent based on my performance. I'm hardworking, the, as shown by the fact that I report for work almost 7 days a week and stayed as late as 10 o'clock in the evening. I I I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Although there was uh, an indication that my blood pressure, my sugar is high, but I'm healthy. I'm strong as a bull because still play basketball, but not anymore now because of the pandemic. I jog around. I lift weights. I go to the gym regularly. So these are indications that I deserve a promotion, Your Honor. Please.
You play basketball with the young ones
Yes, Your Honor.
at your age of 65 years old, or
Yes,
you
Your
belong to
Honor.
the
In
above
fact, in
above
fact,
40?
in fact, Your Honor, during my first 2 or 3 years in Talisay, 4 years, I joined a tournament of young lawyers, IBP tournament, sponsored by IBP, and I played with players half my age. Half my age. I can still uh, run. I can still jump, but not as I can still play competitive basketball. But during the past 2 years, I haven't been active in basketball. I I tried badminton and going to the gym.
Badminton? Did I
Badminton,
hear clearly?
but
Badminton?
badminton, Your
Badminton?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Badminton. Wala ko, badminton ang pinagaanan. Alright, let's talk about the jurisprudence. Alright, you're also applying in the Sandigan Bayan. So in relation to cases rendered by the Sandigan Bayan, are the factual findings of the Sandigan Bayan reviewable by the Supreme Court?
Uh, Factual findings of Sandigan Bayan are generally conclusive uh, on the Supreme Court. There are, uh, there are, however, some exceptions to that.
And what
One,
are these exceptions?
one is
If you know.
one is the findings and conclusions of the Sandigan Bayan is based on surmise, uh, conjectures, and when the great abuse of discretion, one of them. The findings of the Sandigan Bayan is manifestly mistaken, and when the findings of fact is premised on uh, lack of evidence, Contrary to what is on record, that there's really an evidence to support the findings. I think these are all, Your Honor.
All right, let's go to principles or doctrines, maybe in the constitutional law. What is the in pari materia rule?
Pare, pare. I I think, Your Honor, it is something to do with the rule on statutory construction. In pare means when the two laws involving the same subject matter are to be construed, they should be construed with reference to each other, with the view of promoting harmony, uh, uniformity, as well as predictability in the law.
All right, my last question, Judge, because I really have to extend. Chairman, can I have one last question? All right, my last question, Judge. What is something that you can keep after giving it to someone else?
Good name, Your Honor.
Good name? Why good name?
After giving it to your family, still you keep it. You give it to your family, a good name to your family, without losing it.
All right, that was my last and final question. My time is up. Thank you very much for your time. At, kasi masyado ka namang seryoso na. Look at yourself.
Yes, Your Honor. Laki ng tinanda ko, Your Honor. Laki ng tinanda ko dito sa ako.
Thank you and good luck again. Sana, good luck. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Pati ko na.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Smile.
Hindi ko kayo tumatanda. Ako, laki ng tinanda.
Alright, thank you. Good luck again.
Thank you po. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Judge Ilaw. May we now request Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza to conduct his interview of Honorable Judge Fajardo.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Judge Fajardo.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I've heard your interviews. These are just follow-up questions. You said because of drug cases, your load increased. What did you mean by this? Your load really increased, or you were able to bring them down? Oh.
Yes, that's what I mean, Your Honor. You are correct. There was an increase in filing of cases in my court, but I was able to drastically bring them down.
You were able to reduce them despite the fact that there were incessant filing of drug cases.
Yes, Your Honor, please.
I see. Oh. I thought your load went up because of drug cases and it never went down. So it went down, right?
It went, yes, Your Honor.
Oh, yes. And you're applying as an Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals and the Sindigan Bayan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your reason is that you want to be close to your family, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did I hear you right?
Yes,
and when you go to the Court of Appeals, you are assigned in Cagayan de Oro, you will be farther from your family.
Yes, in a way, yes, Your Honor. But I've been away from my family for the past 7 years. I think
You
a little more would not, what, would not make any difference, Your Honor.
little further will that make a difference?
Uh, eh,
Oh, yeah. Here in Cagayan de Oro, there are few. Uh, you will be deciding cases on the basis of the record, right?
yes, Your Honor.
Oh, no trial. Very few trials. Oh, in the Court of Appeals, there are in the internal rules, there are three instances when the Court of Appeals can receive evidence. Aside from just reviewing the record, they are allowed to reduce evidence. What are those three instances?
When the evidence this before the lower court are inadequate to sustain the decision that it rendered. So there's a need to uh, further probe on the factual matter, factual issue of the case.
So that is that falls under the discretionary power of the court in general. But in the art, in the internals, there are three specific uh, instances. They are the general instances because in all cases, the case is open for review and it is discretionary upon the judge to further hear it if they want to. But aside from that resort to discretion, what are the three instances? General instances.
In cases where it exercises original jurisdiction. I'm not familiar, Your Honor, with the workings
Yes,
of
you
the.
have only one. You have only one. Oh, that's one, correct. What are the other two?
Uh,
You're not familiar. You're going there
uh,
to be
I'm
an associate justice. Oh,
thinking,
oh.
like, uh,
What are the other two? Actually, there are four. They just lump the third and fourth together.
what?
If you do not remember the internal rules, you just proceed to the rule. You just remember the rule uh, or the law giving the court of on the jurisdiction of the court of appeals.
Yes, Your Honor.
What is stated there?
It has
Jurisdiction.
ju- jurisdiction over.
It has jurisdiction to conduct new trial. Okay, this is in the internal rules. There are two. One, no, the two. One in civil cases where there is a newly discovered evidence. In criminal cases where there is newly discovered evidence, and also in provisional remedies where there is need to prove damages. The first one, you were correct, original jurisdiction. Okay.
Yeah,
In what
thank you.
cases do the CA have original jurisdiction?
Um,
Yung exclusive
so,
original jurisdiction. Exclusive muna. Original, not concurrent.
uh, petition for certiorari provision mandamus.
Are they exclusive or concurrent?
Concurrent, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm
Also, being
asking exclusive original.
I understand that it has exclusive jurisdiction over money laundering cases, anti-money laundering
Very
cases.
exclusive original stated in the money laundering. What else?
Um,
But they can be filed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will just remind them, like the environment cases.
yes, Your
Yes,
Honor, this environment case.
money laundering, anti-terrorism, yes, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, so
Uh,
yung under the rules of court, what is its over what actions does it have exclusive original jurisdiction?
actions for annulment of judgment.
Yes, correct.
Uh,
What are the two grounds?
uh, annulment of judgment. Judgment. One is lack of jurisdiction by the lower court,
Correct.
or
What is the other one?
um, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Extrinsic fraud. What do you know of extrinsic fraud?
Ex- extrinsic frauds that prevents a party uh, from presenting its evidence.
Okay, you know what is extrinsic fraud. Distinguish it from intrinsic fraud. What is intrinsic fraud?
Intrinsic fraud are committed in the course of the trial that
In the course of the trial, the other party was able to prevent the other party from adducing evidence. That was in the course of the trial. Oh, is that intrinsic fraud?
yes, Your Honor, please.
No, intrinsic fraud is the very issue in the case. The one I gave as an example is also example of extrinsic fraud. It is the fraud which is the very issue in the case. Okay. What is res judicata?
Uh, res judicata is matters decided on the merits by a competent court can no longer be relitigated.
And how do you distinguish it from conclusiveness of judgment?
Uh, conclusiveness of judgment is it happens when uh, the controversy is just between between the parties, but in res judicata it can go it can be against the assignees, the successors of interest of the parties.
Mm. Uh, there is identity of what in res judicata? Identity of
First, identity of parties, identity
yes,
of causes of action,
yes,
identity of subject matter.
yes, that's correct. Conclusiveness of judgment. There are identities of what?
Identities of issues of the identities of issues of
And
causes of action
and
and
what causes of action? inconclusiveness of judgment.
I don't.
I forgot. Okay lang.
I'm already confused, Your Honor, because
Uh,
I'm already confused.
anyway, in the case of this is anyway the case is very recent, August 2020, Lucila Reyes versus Sandigan Bayan. Conclusiveness of judgment. There is only identity of issues and parties, but not causes of action. Now you remember?
Thank you, Your Honor. Please,
You
thank you very much.
remember?
Yes,
Oh.
thank you very much, Your Honor. I, it seems that I got mixed up.
Okay. Now, in the case of People versus Marty, stated there that the liberties cannot be invoked, can be invoked against the state only. What can you say of that? You were a former lawyer of the journalist. Sige, i-limit mo sa constitutional right against unreasonable search and seizures.
Yes, Your Honor, please.
You make a distinction.
Well, I was about to refer to the liberty of freedom of freedom of religion.
Doon tayo pupunta.
I was of the impression that
no, we are going now to the unreasonable search and seizures.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, you know what? You just give general answers. Where is it inadmissible and where is it? When is it admissible? And then give me an example of a circumstance when it is admissible.
Well,
this is warrantless search. Oh, and when it is inadmissible. In general lang.
In general, Your Honor. Well, normally, warrantless arrests are evidence in the course of a warrantless arrest.
No. Search. Not
search.
Walang arrest, walang warrantless arrest.
Warrantless search.
Yes, search. Relax lang. Relax, pakinggan mo yun. Nervous.
Yes, Your Honor. In cases of warrantless search, evidence gathered in the course of that illegal search is admissible, being a fruit of the poisonous tree. There are instances when they are admissible, as despite the absence of search, like the plain view doctrine is an exception to that.
By the government. Okay.
By the government, in flagrante delicto, wherein crime is being committed, was committed, or was about to be committed in the presence of the arresting officer.
When is an inadvertent search, inadvertent search admissible? Well, you mentioned those instances na. What else? In general.
It is inadvertent searches are admissible as incident to lawful arrest.
Committed by government agents.
By government agencies.
Or inadvertent search or discovery by private citizens is not prescribed. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bernas versus US. Okay, no problem. You are applying also in the Sandigan Bayan. from the
Yes, Your Honor.
Sindigang Bayan. If you lost a case, you can file an MR. After the MR, it was resolved against the accused. What is the remedy of the accused?
The remedies, Your Honor, is Supreme Court.
Yes, what is the procedure?
Uh,
Do you know the latest jurisprudence there?
the normally, Your Honor, please, the findings of facts of Sandigan Bayan are conclusive on the Supreme Court, but there are instances, there are exceptions to that.
The Sandigan Bayan is a trial court, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's the first time it will be appealed for the first time to the Supreme Court. Do you mean
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
Supreme Court is not allowed to review the questions of facts?
There are exceptions, Your Honor. Supreme Court is
Kasi
only.
it is the first appeal of the accused. He's not allowed to raise issues questioning factual findings.
Yes. Yes, generally speaking, Your Honor, please, the Supreme Court is concerned only with the question of law. But there are instances when it may.
It is a direct appeal. It is a direct appeal. You know, when an accused is convicted before the regional trial court, it can raise questions of facts and questions of law in the Court of Appeals.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, why is it that when a government official are convicted in the Sindigan Bayan, he cannot raise questions of fact in the Supreme Court? Or can they? What does the law say? The regarding appeal to the court. What does the law say?
Well, appeal involving questions of facts are normally
with respect to cases decided by the Sandigan Bayan.
the questions of facts are not reviewable even for the first time. By way of.
You research on that, eh? Oh, Judge, that will be my anyway. Sa new jurisprudence on that, so I just advise you to review the latest jurisprudence on that. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
It's just new, so you are it is excusable on your part.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, to disappoint you, but
no, it's a new because if you read the you are correct. Questions of law lang. But there is now Supreme Court decision that, of course, this is the first time they are appealing it. Questions of fact can be looked into. Siguro, Judge, we running out of time. We have interviewed you before, so that will be all for today. Good luck. The best of luck.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
I cannot extend it. You want to extend? Gutom ka na.
Oh, yes, Your Honor, not anymore.
You're hungry. No more. Zero na ako. I have no time.
Opo. Thank you very much po, Your Honor.
You review on those think so.
Yes, I will, Your Honor. I will.
Thank you very much and Godspeed, Honorable Judge Fajardo. Thank you also, Honorable Justice Mendoza. That concludes the public panel interview of Honorable Jacinto G. Fajardo Jr. Your Honors, that wraps up the council session this morning. We shall have a break and resume at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thank you, Attorney Ann. How was the anniversary yesterday? Hindi ko alam na
As a
anniversary.
unique one.
Unique one. Wala kami lahat.
Yes,
Sana
we traveled.
nakapag-contribute kami para meron lang kayong lunch dyan. Eh wala eh. We did not know. Oh, but you have a beautiful